Okay, so this is the second part of this tutorial series about building a VR ball pit in A-frame. If you haven't watched the first video yet, make sure you go back and do that because it involves some setup steps that um, will be required for this the code that you write in this video to actually work. Uh, Before we get started, I just wanted to acknowledge that this video tutorial series is based on a written text tutorial by another teacher named Kelly Lougheed, and seemed to be a successful tutorial, and so I just wanted to make a video series about it. Okay, so here we are in codehs, and we're going to, first thing we're going to do here is create a floor and then create a ball above the floor and just watch the ball drop onto the floor using the physics engine that we added in the last video. So first thing we're going to do is collapse this sidebar so that I have a little more room to see my code, and I don't really need that comment anymore. Just make sure my code is inside the A scene tags. So first, let's make our floor. It's a plane, and I'm going to go ahead and just close that opening tag right away so that I can see my my closing tag there, and then I'll go back up and add my attributes. So let's just make sort of a basic floor here at 0, 0, 0. Width is 30 and height is 30. Whoa. Change of color there indicated that I missed my closing quotation mark. Okay. Now let's see. If we run this, we won't see anything because we're actually sort of like standing inside the floor itself, but I can back up here. No, I can't. There's nothing there. Okay, let's just keep building. We want to make our floor. Oh, it's probably because the plane is white and we can't see it. That's my just my guess. We won't troubleshoot that though right now. Just remember. Well, let's give it a color just to make sure. Color equals black. Now let's run it. Okay, back up. There it is. So when I back up, it's there, and I can sort of look around and see the edges of that plane that's just sort of sitting right in front of me right now because of this position. But if you remember from some of the other work that you've done, when a plane is created, it's created by default sort of up and down in front of, up and down vertically. And what we need to do is apply the rotation attribute along the x-axis to get it to flatten out like that, so it's more like a floor. So in my code, I'll add rotation equals my open quote, my closing quote, and inside that it's 90 or negative 90, 0, 0. And that should lay out the floor in front of us. Good, that looks better. Now, let's make our ball. That'll be a sphere. So a sphere, and then we need to add some attributes. Position equals my closing, open and closing quotes there. And now let's figure out what my 3 values are for the position of the sphere. Well, let's put it in the center of the floor, but higher up. So actually, I'm not going to get too mixed up with the center here, but so x, y, I could just go with 0. The x value, sorry, is left and right, so that could go with 0. The y value would be the height above the floor that we want this. So let's start it off at like, I don't know, 15. And then the z value, we want the z value to be away from us, so we'll make a negative z value like negative 10. And then let's give it a radius because a sphere, an A-frame, doesn't have a width and a height, it has a radius. And we'll make this one pretty small, like a 0.5. And let's give it a color as green. And now let's just run our code, see what we have. All right, there's a floor. Where's the ball? I should see the ball if I look up here. So let's just look up. There it is, hanging out up in the sky. Okay. But that's not really a cool ball pit. Let's apply the physics now to watch the ball fall onto the floor. And to add physics, Well, let's think about what sorts of objects we'd want in a physics system. There are some objects that we want to have move around where gravity is automatically applied to them and that sort of thing. And those are called dynamic bodies because they're moving. And the sphere is a dynamic body. So we can add an attribute to the sphere tag, so the opening sphere tag, called dynamic body. Now, it does not have an equals to and a quotes and that sort of thing. Just straight up dynamic body with a dash between them, those two words, and that'll indicate to A-frame. We want this sphere to be able to fall and move around, that sort of thing. So let's apply dynamic body and then run. And there it goes. Whoa, it went through the floor. Bad news. So that leads into our second type of body in physics. That would be a body that we want things to be able to hit or bang into and not go through. And that's called a static body. So we want to assign the static body attribute to our floor. So I'll just add that to the plane tag in the same way that we added dynamic body. And now the ball should not go through the floor. So let's run this and see. Good. And it even bounces. Handy. I'm going to run that one more time because it's kind of fun to watch. Good. So we'll stop there. If you haven't already done it, head back into your code and build out this section. And in our next video, we'll look at adding multiple balls.